You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Welcome to the Village of Wappinger Falls regular monthly meeting of the Mayor and the Board of Trustees for today, Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have recognitions, announcements, and special events clerk, so
Okay, first of all, please turn off your cell phones or silence them. Thank you. We have a special recognition tonight. We want to award a certificate of recognition to Miss Nora Zambrano for long and faithful service with the Village Justice Court. So, Mayor, let's... Yeah, he's here.
All right, if you would please come up, stand over to the flag. Village of Wappinger Falls Certificate of Recognition. Whereas Ms. Nora Zambrano will be honored by friends and relatives on the occasion of her retirement. And whereas during a long and productive career as clerk to the justice, she has demonstrated in countless ways her dedication to the welfare of others and has earned the respect and affection of people from all walks of life and all ages. And whereas Nora has always taken the time to assist her fellow workers and court justices. And now, therefore, by virtue of the authority vested into me as mayor of the Village of Wappinger Falls, I do hereby deem it an honor and pleasure to extend this certificate of recognition to Ms. Nora Zambrano on the occasion of her retirement with sincere congratulations and best wishes for many happier, productive years in the future. In witness, I hereto accept my hand, cause corporate seal, Village of Wappinger Falls, Mayor Serino. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. It was very nice working with everybody and I appreciate every single time.
And we miss you very much already.
Especially, you can't have her back, we have her.
Good for you.
There is a couple other things, is that when Miss Zambrano left, there was a little shadow over her service here. So I call up the court clerk, Donna Cantelmo. Would you please step forward? Front and center, right here. Okay. Stand next to your... me? Yeah. You stand up. On the other side. When I marry people, you're on the other side. You're on this side. I am not going to marry you tonight. But there is something in which we have to clarify. As you know, the court has to complete all of this thing. First of all is that it was a pleasure working with you. And she took my English and translated it into English. She took my English and translated it into Spanish. And the little thing that you know, she even said was asked to translate Chinese. And she looked at me with those eyes and said, Chinese, I don't speak Vietnamese. Okay.
It's true.
There is a couple of things in which I want to say, and this is in violation. And in violation of section 22105 of the penal law was the first violation.
Don't even ask.
In violation of section 1192 vehicle and traffic law.
Rough day.
In violation of summary proceeding attitude.
Easy day.
What this is, I'm going to sentence you to probation. That covers all of the charges. You have to report to your probation officer every night after a cup is emptied of margaritas.
We don't
And you have to report to your husband at 5 o'clock. And it's so ordered that you may have an enjoyable retirement. And God bless you. And thanks for your service, not only to the court, but to me. And I'd like to present this cup to you. The name is spelled correctly. There is an inside story. I gave her a cup before and it was spelled wrong. I'm going to say it wasn't my fault, but it was my fault. And don't forget, 5 o'clock after margaritas, she should say the bottom line.
Starting tomorrow.
Thank you,
Congratulations.
Mr. Chase.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Donna.
Okay, congratulations. If you folks want to go before the end of the meeting, you can go.
It's gonna take a margarita day.
I have a woman on the phone.
Recently, the Village of Wappingers Falls was awarded a longevity plaque from PERMA, which is our comp carrier for the village, after 15 years of extended service. This was awarded to us at the conference recently, so that's great. Just wanted to share that with everyone. And for those of you who don't know, we got the award for being an outstanding community last year. Over 500 communities, we came out on top of being the most safe. Okay.
Roll call, clerk.
Mayor Sereno,
Present.
Trustee Sadati,
Here.
Trustee Tillishak,
Here.
Trustee Niznik,
Here.
Trustee Huber,
Present.
Trustee Ruffin,
Here.
Trustee Lauricella,
Here.
Village Attorney Wallace.
Here.
Action on board minutes, May 11th, May 17th, May 25th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Mayor votes aye.
Carried. Authorization to pay bills as per approved warrant.
All those bills that have been entered, processed, and approved. Is there a motion?
I'll make that
Pay 'em.
motion.
Trustee Niznik makes the motion.
Second.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor votes aye.
Carried. We have two hearings that are carried over from May 25th meeting that we had. The first one that's open is outdoor dining. This is at the last meeting, we were waiting some final results, and I think it came in. Attorney Wallace, did you want to comment?
Yes, this is just a continuation of the prior public hearing that was noticed. There were changes that were made to the text of the local law that had some, incorporated some changes regarding a date. Remember, this is a temporary law that sunsets at the end of the year. So what sunsets mean, it's actually expires and it becomes void. It's only good for, that period of time. I think, Clerk Karj, I think we have to open the public hearing for comment from the public, then close that public hearing before the board can take any action on this local law.
I believe it is open.
Yes, it was.
It was, okay.
It's open.
Yeah.
It's
Still
never-
open?
never
Okay.
closed.
Okay, it's open for public comment. Board comments?
I think we beat this to death before, so.
Yep.
I don't think there's any more comment that we're gonna do.
Can we have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Huber? All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Carried.
I would just like to add, Clerk Karj, that the seeker determination also needs to be,
It's on the agenda, Attorney. It'll be coming up. We have a second hearing that we continue to have open from the last meeting. Amending Chapter 143, Vehicles and Traffic. More specifically, pages 4, 5, and 6. Call out what changes are proposed. The meeting is open, the hearing is open, so if there's any comments from the board?
I have one. I would like to relook at Hillside to move a no parking from here to corner sign back. I didn't measure it exactly, but I can measure it. I talked to the resident, Mr. Harvey, and we can solve some of the problem up there. I think it's fair. I'm not in favor of 2-hour parking. Meaning, if someone has a party, they can't park. Every 2 hours, they gotta go out and move their car. If this is the case, then there's a lot of other streets in this village that are just like Hillside. So I'd
Why
like,
don't we give a little background of how this came up to be? I think that should be in order. I sent to the legislative committee after a complaint by, I'll say, 3 residents, and I turned it up to parking, and it was specifically for West Street. And then the legislative committee got that complaint last May, and then they started indexing more streets that needed work because it's cheaper to do a bundle of these changes than just one. And the price difference is not that much different. Or so I've been told by the attorney, who I'm not gonna argue with. Pardon?
Clerk Karj actually.
Okay.
Well, the cost for the attorney and the board to introduce these changes is not a lot, but when codification in general code and printing is very expensive.
So, to that end, it's been 13 months. And so there were some streets added. And so now we've come to this, the committee, which I believe is trustee Lauricella, trustee Huber, and trustee Ruffin, worked 13 months on this with all the streets. They looked over a gambit of streets. And so this is where we're at on this public hearing. And so, to that end, that's how this local law is coming to be, or attempting to come to be.
All right, trustee Hoover made a recommendation. Any discussion on that recommendation?
From the board members or from, or
Board,
or
board.
for the general public?
The board?
I'm sure,
Let's hear what the
I'm
public
su-
has to say, right?
Well, it's open, it's a public hearing that trustee Hoover just commented on.
I gave my opinion.
Okay, that's it?
If you want, there's residents on Hillside that can talk. Their voice should be heard.
Yeah, it's a public hearing. You can come up forward here and state your name and what your concern is, so I can get it proper for the minutes.
Marie Magna, 4 Hillside, since 1974.
she's lived there since 1970.
Right, Rick?
Right.
I see no reason to do 2-hour parking. There is no legitimate reason for it. If you park on the street, we're not blocking anybody. There's plenty of room for trucks, vehicles, semis go through there. Ambulances go through there with no problem. The Royal Karting goes through there every week with no problem. There is no reason to limit it to 2-hour parking. And so if we have 2-hour parking, what do we tell company? Oh, the 2 hours are up, you gotta go home now. And if you want somebody to stay overnight, I guess that can't happen either, because now they've posted a ridiculous no parking sign up where the water tower is, the entrance to that lot. And all of a sudden that appeared, and it's like maybe a year ago, I don't know, I think I noticed it a few months back. So now if somebody stays at someone's house and it's snow ordinance time, I told, my granddaughter lives upstairs. She had a friend that stayed overnight. And I said, well, you gotta get off the street because there's a snow ordinance. Go park up the lot there, which has been utilized very rarely, to tell you the truth. I've been there since '74. We've never had anybody parking there an abundance of time. There's never been, it's not like a parking lot. Us people that live around there just utilize it maybe if we have to for some reason. Other than that, we don't use it. The kid parks up there for 2 nights. The second night, the officer just circled around the vehicle and left. The second night, he left a ticket. And then the kid couldn't even come down and pay it because traffic court is in the middle of the afternoon. So then he got charged another $10. The total like $50. And after I told him he should park up there, not noticing that stupid sign, we have no parking problem in that lot. We never have. So my question is, so if we have company, if you have a get-together, which involves a few different cars, where do you park? You're gonna have 2-hour parking? Then I guess a police officer has to come along and chalk the tires, right, every couple of hours. And there's no reason for it. It's not a narrow street. We park on one side of the street. There's no problem with anyone getting through there. I've been there since '74. I know this for a fact. There is no existing problem. And all of a sudden, so where does the company park? No response? Where should the company
You're
park?
asking?
Yeah, you. You don't care,
Parking your-
obviously?
No, I really don't care. I don't know where your company should park. Your driveway, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. I have
This
a
is the-
driveway
this
for
is the
2
challenge.
cars. This is it. I'm talking about company, not
Yeah,
somebody
yeah,
that
yeah.
lives there.
I don't know where your company should park. I don't know.
Well, they could park on the street, or maybe occasionally if they had to use the lot up at the end of the street, they could.
The challenge is probably this, because West was brought into question, and we were asked to walk it, and it was discussed that it's a safety issue for fire engines to go through there.
Because those people park on both sides of the street.
Well, either way, if that's the case, then Hillside is more narrow. So it just is, well, you could measure it, it is.
I don't think, it's not narrow. I see
Do you know-
large vehicles go through here all the time,
Yeah, actually, you're right. And
and there's been no problem.
well, we have had, well, I disagree, to tell you the truth. And we've had other residents that have petitioned the board to examine it. And so we have. And if,
Other residents on our street?
correct, yeah. Well, okay, you can not think that's true, but it is. And so again, because we were asked to walk another street that is, I don't know how many feet, do you happen to know, do either one of you know how wide West Street is?
I couldn't guess, but maybe it's gotta be 13, 14 feet.
I don't know about West.
Well, no, it's not 13 feet wide.
No,
It would be twice that. Yeah. Because Hillside
Like I
is,
say, they park on both sides of the street. We don't do that. We park on one side of the street.
right.
I live there.
Yeah, I know where you live.
I see, there is no problem and there is no reason for 2-hour parking. So that if any of us decide to have a get-together where we're gonna have company and they're gonna be there maybe more than 2 hours, okay, I guess they all go out on the street and get a ticket when they're ready to leave. Because then that means that, it's no longer democracy, we can't have company, only according to a 2-hour window,
on Church?
and that's it.
Is there parking on Church? Can you park on Church Street, Kevin?
Yes. 2 hours.
2 hours. So where do those people park if they have a party?
Only at the end of Church Street, the whole Church Street is no parking.
Is no parking,
The
right?
bottom half is no parking. It's only a small strip at the end is 2-hour parking.
So where do those,
West Street's about 24 feet wide and Hillside's about 18 feet
You want
wide.
to say something?
That's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something.
Go ahead.
All right, Marie, are you
I made
finished?
my point, and I think it's a ridiculous
I appreciate it,
choice.
sure.
All right, who's next?
Can't have company anymore.
Hi, thanks. Nancy Martin, 16 Hillside. I'm just curious if the 2-hour parking is in consideration, which I know nothing about, the new apartment building going up. Are those folks going to have parking? Because if they don't have adequate parking, they are going to park on Hillside. So a 2-hour
Well, the
limit might
2
be
hours
good.
help it, yeah.
But is that why we're doing it? Was that why it's up for it?
Oh.
Do you think?
I don't think that was a consideration.
I'm curious. Yeah, that's what I was curious
They
about.
supposedly have some parking.
That's what I was wondering, because I know nothing about it.
Consider.
But, they're going to have people over too. And they're going to have, everybody's going to have a little get-together from time to time.
Right.
So I think maybe the 2-hour idea isn't a bad idea, but it's got to be enforced, like anything else. And I was just curious as to that, if that were the reason why we were speaking to this, because all those folks are going to be moving in there.
Ultimately, it came about from a safety issue, and we tried to avoid doing no parking. So that was really,
No parking at all.
right. So it was actually, the goal was to try to help that. Because if people are saying there's an issue,
Right.
and if other people that live there say, I have concern, and if we have pictures that show that it's a challenge, what should we do? Because what happens if a fire truck has trouble?
Well, that cuts too, and of course,
And we have,
there's extenuating circumstances, like the St. Patrick's Day Parade, when I walked my dog down to there. I could have died of a heart attack in my living room, or had a heart attack, I'd have died from it. No one was getting through on that. So you're going to be an old biddy and say, oh, what about this? But it's true. That's going to be okay for that day, so it's going to be okay if I have a family reunion at 16 Hillside. I call up and say, oh, Rick, I'm having this big party. Is it going to be okay like on St. Patrick's Day? Are we going to do that too? I don't know. Good luck. Because it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, I'm not all against 2-hour parking if it's going to keep not that I care, I don't own the street, you know what I mean? But, and I certainly have enough room where I live, but if I do have a family reunion, you know, there's no room. But if, you know, I'm waffling back and forth because it is a difficult decision. Because with the new folks moving in down on West Main, it's a nothing walk from them to park in front of my house and walk down there when those folks have a party or something, you know? So,
The only remedy that we might have is by the water tower. There is a piece of, that is village-owned property.
right.
And if the board should consider it, we could possibly make that some parking and turn that area into a parking lot. But that is a great that's a
A lot of
concern
traffic,
that
a lot
you
of speeding,
have.
people are speeding through there, you know, people just going through, not
Right.
people who live there, I
Be
don't.
careful what you ask for.
I know,
because
I know.
You called it, we would expect that, that West Village Lofts building is going to use that as overflow parking as well as for any
It's
reason.
gonna happen a little, do we know how many space, I don't expect you to really know this, but how many apartments and how
13
many?
units and I believe there's 15 to 17 parking spots. I don't believe there's enough.
Everybody's
And
got
I-
more than one car and more than one dog.
I was explicit about that, but
Right.
that's what our code allows.
Sure.
So,
No, and there's no parking for the businesses downstairs of that.
It's difficult at best.
so because there has been these problems, these are problems.
Right.
But this ultimately really started because, and I'll go back to the safety concerns. And I mean, did we not walk West Street because you were saying there was an issue with fire engines?
We did.
Okay, and so it's 10 inches on Hillside.
I agree.
It just
Trying
is.
to get through there on
So
any
it's
day.
like, it really, like I said, I thought it should be no parking. And then people were concerned that there would be residents that were upset that there would be no parking. I think, and I spoke to other people who are emergency vehicle people in this village, that thinks that the 2-hour still makes it challenging. I mean, it's not to hinder your party. It's really not. But when people start to talk about this, and people say, I have concerns that a fire engine won't be able to come if my house is burning, the village is, we know our way around fires. There's people living there that do have that concern. Some of them said, I don't really want to come here because I don't want to be retaliated against, that's my opinion. So that's why they're not here. But we have photos. I've received photos as a trustee in the village about it. I've received videos about it. So it's like, I sent them to every trustee, the mayor, the clerk, and the attorney have seen these trucks, have seen the trucks that can't get through, have seen the garbage trucks that can't get through during,
That's not true.
well, I sent the video.
Garbage truck comes every week.
Yeah.
No
There was a huge truck there today.
Well, it is yeah. So
you know-
what do you do there?
Right, so-
Now, can anyone go down
Pardon me?
when that truck was
Can
there?
anybody also pass the street?
No.
No.
Today I was
And they-
at the street.
Today you
I was
couldn't.
waiting,
But
I was
but everyone's,
looking at the road.
oh, you were there?
And I
But
couldn't.
everyone's
I had to
courteous
wait
enough to be like either back up or it's
all
gonna
the
be a few
traffic
minutes.
to
Yeah.
clear
But not
before
for a
then I
fire
could
truck.
We've been deliberating and doing our due diligence. To your point, Nancy, the truck that was there today.
Yeah.
No one could go down there for
You're
a
right.
really extended period of time. They would have been able, had that whole side not been full of cars, and
I
those
agree.
cars could have been in driveways. So, it's not like some big draconian effort to ruin everyone's lives. It's what do we do? What would I do?
I agree.
What would I do if 2 kids died in a fire?
God forbid.
Because I said, well, you know what? There might be a barbecue on the 4th of July,
Okay.
and those people need to park somewhere.
But to that point, I
What would I
refer,
do?
to that point, I refer back to, and I know I'm beating it to death, but I don't disagree with you. But again, the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Look at the Dutchess County Fair. There's residents all along the fairgrounds, in the back especially. Can't block any of their driveways, boom, they're on it with a ticket. Why was that allowed on St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah, I
No
can't
fire truck
speak
was
to
gonna
it.
make
I
it to
don't know,
mine.
but
Oh,
I'll
I
tell
know,
you
you
what,
don't.
there's a law
But it's gotta be the same every year for that. And then what are we gonna do with all those revelers that come and spend their money,
Yeah, it's an issue.
I know. Thank you.
Do they
Okay.
on Park Street, and then do they do temporary no parking by the police department on the day of the parade? I think they put signs up, do they not?
Yes.
Yes, there's.
So if they do it on them streets, they should be able to do it on those streets too.
They don't do it on
Okay, who's-
Remsen.
They
Who's
don't
next?
do it on, for the parade?
No, they don't. And there's parking, they park on both sides.
Okay, we're talking about Hillside.
My name is Vincent Harvey. I live at 14 Hillside Avenue. I understand the issue of West Street with emergency vehicles getting down between Main Street and what's the street behind us? Downey. When cars park on both sides over there, there's no way cars can get through. If both cars are coming in both directions, can't get through. If you put a no parking on one side on West Street from Downey to Main, that would alleviate some of that. You can't park on one side, you can only park on the other. Vehicles can get through. As far as Hillside, our issue up there is, excuse me, our issue on Hillside is the, your parking, the driveways. There's a lot of driveways up there. The issue with that is when cars park up there, they park close to the driveway. Now you can't get out and swing either way. Yes, I own 2 vehicles up there, and I put them on the street. I put one by Church Street, before the sign, no park from here to curb, so that I have more room in my driveway, and then I put another one there. But me putting a car on the other side, that's no good for the other residents because it's in front of their driveways. So if we put something, like Kevin said, no parking from here to corner, or no parking within 10 feet of a driveway, that would alleviate a lot of our problems up there. 2 hours, yeah, it could help us, but it doesn't help the residents who wants to have get-togethers or whatever. And that's my whole concern. One side parking on West Street, thank you. From Main Street to Downey. And on Hillside, no parking within 10 feet of a driveway or across from a driveway. Because those streets are so narrow up there, cars can't get in and out of the driveways when people park. That's my whole issue up there. So what I do is I make sure that I have a car on each side of my driveway where I'm able to get in and out. I have a big truck. And me trying to get in my driveway, it's kind of hard when people park up on it. And that's my whole issue. So I don't know about the 2-hour parking, but parking in front of driveways or close to driveways, that's the issue up there. Because there's a lot of driveways up there. And especially since we built the new 2 houses across the street. Now that just really alleviates a lot of parking up there.
Right, so I see your concern with the driveways, but also the concern is that we're trying to eliminate cars parked there all day in hopes that there's less parking on the street so that if a vehicle's coming one way and another vehicle's coming another, you have a way to duck off and let a car pass.
All right, so no parking between Church Street and West Street. I'll go with that.
Yeah, that's
Right,
great.
I mean, we're
That makes the
trying.
most sense.
It does.
Not from the water tower to church.
Right, that area is wider.
Yes,
After
yes.
really getting a look at it, it's a little bit wider up there because it has, the grass strip is gone. Now, we're not trying to eliminate parking for everybody, but we're trying to make it so vehicles could pass.
I'm glad you brought that up. We got the verges up there with the grass. If we took away the verges on both sides of the street, do you know how much that would widen that street?
We've done that.
Yeah, but the one challenge is just with, I agree, is that the plows, because I thought that, the plow, I have heard from the highway, correct me if I'm wrong, that the plows throw the dirt on the sidewalks and the residents typically are unhappy with that.
The plows are gonna throw the snow, the dirt everywhere. I mean, the streets gotta be clean.
I agree.
But if the verges wasn't there with the grass,
Right,
it should be much wider.
Right.
They just did work up there on the streets. They could have removed the verges
I
then.
agree with you, but I'm
Took all of that out, and Hillside Avenue would have been maybe 20 feet wide.
Right, somebody didn't look at it in that regard. It should have been done. It should have been discussed at the time to widen the road because then we would eliminate this problem. But this is what we have right now. So we have to try to fix the problem at hand and we can't redo the street right now.
So basically, we're gonna put a temporary fix on it when it's not really helping the community or the people who live on the street.
Well, it's helping part of the community, because part of the community has an issue with traveling down that street, and they're concerned for their safety. So we're trying to meet in the middle and accommodate everybody. It could, obviously, like you said, make it no parking. But do you really want that? We want to try to gain some space for people to get over, so that if they're in the middle and a fire truck's nosed up here, they don't have to reverse the other way. They can duck off because that car's not there all day long.
If you get a delivery truck or whatever, like this morning, there's a delivery truck. He was doing his business. Did he try to park on the side? No, he can't park. Oh, he got to park right there in front of the house to offload,
Right.
to move stuff into whoever's, purchasing these things. And the whole street is backed up or blocked up.
Right.
Even if there wasn't cars parked there, it's hard to get through.
Right.
All right, for two cars coming in the same direction. So if you want to say no parking from Church to West, I got no problem with that.
And honestly,
But the
that might
2-hour
be, that might
parking-
be the best solution to the
2-hour parking ain't doing
for the
nothing.
time
What
being.
about, excuse me, what about making Hillside a one-way? Then you won't have to worry about it. Still, you're backed up.
That's another, we
behind the
talked
delivery
about
truck.
that too.
I figured it didn't elude you, but, then you're behind the big truck delivering something, but there's no one coming in the opposite direction. You're not jamming up two people. Because we're all patient enough to wait for a refrigerator.
Well, they were there a long time.
Well, yeah.
Would you have been patient to sit there?
Not if I were having a heart attack.
Well, even if you weren't having a heart attack. I mean-
But maybe a one-way would help, and who would object to that?
The issue with
Anybody?
that truck this morning, because I've seen people come, stop, but you get back up and you can go, it's not like you gotta come through that street to get out of there.
No, but if you didn't have a car parked there that didn't need to park there, you could have just driven around it. That's all.
The emergency vehicles, the garbage trucks, fire department, ambulances, whatever, they've been up and down that street for years with no problems.
Yeah, in fact, they were every single time during the pandemic when they couldn't actually. A few times when they were trying to do those parades, they couldn't do it. But when they were training, it was like a white knuckle to try to get around your Honda. Those dudes were like going at a crawl, like an inch a minute, trying to get through there.
It's not that bad.
That's training.
Well,
I've seen,
whatever.
I've seen fire trucks, I've seen big delivery, you got delivery trucks just as big as fire
I did in the
trucks.
video.
And I don't see them creeping through there.
Because the car was backing up into the church.
I don't see them creeping through there.
Okay, well, I mean, we
All right,
watched it.
so I think there's other things we can do besides the 2-hour thing, because of all the driveways up there. It's just too crowded.
So you suggest no parking from Church to West, and then let people park further up towards the water tower because the road's wide?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna inconvenience us as a community if we have parties or guests or whatever,
Everybody
but
up to my block?
Yeah. But you'll be able to have that party.
Well, you also suggested parking at
First
the
of
water
all,
tower.
you're making Hillside sound like a big business section, a Route 9 kind of thing. It's a little quiet street. We don't have any problem that has to be changed. Once in a while, there's a delivery truck. It's not an everyday
It
thing.
wasn't really about it's really about the emergency vehicles. That
They all get
if
through.
West Street,
They all get through.
if West Street and it's twice the size, then why not Hillside? It's just the logic isn't there.
We don't park on those sides of the
We don't have a
street.
problem. My name is Cheryl Harvey, 14 Hillside. We don't have a problem with the no parking sign from the bush all the way back, as long as there's, because Kevin was suggesting it, if there's a sign from the corner also, because they're just gonna say they didn't see that sign and park, all up there. So if you have a sign there at the bush where we're talking, and one in the corner saying no parking, we don't have a problem. We don't have a problem with the 2 hours, because we're retired. But our car, the Honda, is on the street because he has the truck, and because we don't want to have to every day pull out the Honda. It's going to be parked there anyway. Pull it out so you can drive the truck.
we have.
We're not going to do that every day.
There's
And
issues with
since
the
we're
driveway.
pretty much the only ones on the street, nobody's parked there. I can take that Honda and go wherever and come back and the spot is there. That is not the problem. The Honda being on the street is not the problem. Now, like you said, if you wanted no parking, fine with us. 2 hours, what's the point? Unless it's gonna be enforced. And it's not gonna be enforced all the time, you know that. So what's the point of making it 2 hours?
Right, should be no parking on it.
So either no parking or like Nancy said, one way, I mean, or, and like Maria's saying, you guys have gotta come up. If you wanna take away the parking, you gotta come up with something for guests to park
Well, the whole
for longer than 2
Church
hours.
Street has no parking on it. It's the very slim 2-hour parking window for everybody on Church. The big picture would be when those people
You know, all of their people park on Hillside or Avenue. When they come. That's the reason why there's
They
no
should
parking.
probably think about putting no parking, because when those buildings open up and those people overflow,
Well, then
and your
put up
house
the no
has,
parking.
you know, right, so we're just trying, if
But that
that's
also,
your
it
guys'
has to be,
suggestion.
it has to be enforced also.
Oh, yeah,
You're gonna
no
put up the
parking is
parking.
easier to
But you-
enforce than 2 hours.
You need to designate, for residents only or something. Our people need somewhere to park, our guests need somewhere to park when they come to visit us. If we have a contract to come, what, are they only gonna stay for 2 hours? If someone's working on our home?
That's true.
You know, you have to make an allowance for residents to be parked on that street, some kind of way.
And if somebody's parked there, they're parked there, say, 15, 20 minutes, and all of a sudden an emergency, this big, huge emergency vehicle has to get through. So they're not violating anything, but they happen to be there when this so-called emergency vehicle is trying to get through.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I thought the whole time it should be no parking.
Two-hour parking.
I agree with you guys,
I
it should
agree.
be no parking, I think.
Well, I think what we thought is the 2 hours would discourage people from just plopping a vehicle there for days at a time.
That's not gonna discourage us.
It's just us on the street that utilize, I have 2 cars, so I don't have to jockey them back and forth when there's no snow ordinance. Or park one in front of my house and keep one in the driveway, because both cars are used.
I understand.
So I don't feel like moving this car when I don't have to. It's different during the snow ordinance.
Yeah,
And that's with us.
I get it.
I'm sure
It just doesn't
you
change
know, we
the-
have 4 vehicles and only a driveway. We have no garage. We have 4 vehicles. We're not gonna suspend it over our heads, so it's gotta be parked on the street somewhere, sometime.
I'm Joe Nicholas, 15 Hillside, and what I want to address is when people come to your house and they park across from my driveway and I can't get in and out, and I struggle with my cars getting in and out because that street's so narrow. So 2 hour park, they'll come down the hill, and the first place that they park because of the driveways is across from my driveway.
It's in front of my house, which is across from his driveway.
And then I can't get my cars in and out.
It is
Which
parked off.
respectfully should have been addressed well before those houses went in.
Yeah, it was
You know,
supposed to
love
be a
happened
circular driveway
there, but
there.
it should have been addressed before the ground was even broken. And it wasn't, because I was at that meeting too.
The problem is those lots conform to the zoning codes.
Right.
And just, that.
But that's right, but you know, but that's over and done with because they're there now. But there's so many driveways on Hillside that it's impossible not to block them out.
So I usually, like, you gotta move your car, you can't park right there.
Getting worse with
Over in front of mine.
Yeah, I know. That's a problem.
It's challenging.
So whatever it would be, I mean, we're gonna,
You know, or like
if it's no
the truck, the
parking,
big truck
we're gonna
that would be out there, the white one and now the black one.
Yes.
Maybe not.
I agree, so all of that's a consideration.
Are there any other comments from the public? Any comments from the board?
Well, can I just ask, Joe, so your thought is, could you just clarify, so you think what then?
Well, what Cheryl was talking about, if you leave room to each side of a driveway so we can swing in and out, she was.
I mean, there technically is, you know, and there is like that common kind of, you know, there is a common decency concept that you wouldn't.
Everybody parks in front of my driveway. It's the first
If you
open
put the
spot.
2 hour no parking, if you put the no parking within 10 feet of a driveway, no parking from across the sidewalk, you can put any sign you want to put up there. But if it's not enforced by our police, what's the sense?
Yeah, I did speak with the commissioner and he, you know.
If they don't come and drive around and enforce it,
Well, as you know, the police go through every road, they have to monitor the water tower quite a bit, so they are there more significant, more consistently and more frequently than a lot of the other roads. But I did speak with the commissioner. There are some challenges about 2 hour because there has been a ruling that makes marking someone's private property unfavored. I don't know if it's illegal. So there would have to be other things where no parking would just be, it's obvious, no parking, they're parking there.
Why don't the trustees go up there? I know you've been up there, but if you go up there and look at the road and just look at how the driveways are made up there, it's really no room at all for cars to.
But like to your defense,
or maybe we can have them speak to
it all sounds well and good, but are people going to follow the rules? And when are people going to overflow from those new buildings that necessarily I'm not in favor of?
Yes, they are.
Right? So the only way to eliminate it would be to put no parking in that stretch. We can enforce that easily.
Allow the new apartment building to be built and not require them to have adequate parking for their tenants?
So according to our zoning codes, they do have adequate parking. And as a board member, in my defense, I did not make that decision to put that building there. I feel the same way as you do. We're very congested.
So do I.
But we also have to think about that this happened due to our zoning codes, and now we have to address the underlying situation on these roads. So I think the only solution to this problem is going to be to put no parking from West to Church.
And one side parking from Main Street on West Street to Downey.
That is part of it. That is part of this law.
It should only be one side. They park on both sides.
That's the impetus for this, and that is the law. This is just a part of a further law. So it's not West Street's not doing that. It's just how do you do West Street and ignore Hillside? Because if you're doing West Street for that reason, Hillside is also the same situation. And that's why it happened. But how do you disagree on it? It is the same.
Because West Street is double-side parking.
Right, but it's
Hillside is.
It's so much wider.
But you still can drive up. You can still drive through here. I'm with the fire department. Been in there for 23 years.
I appreciate your service.
I've driven a fire truck up there for a resident's house who has an automatic alarm in it. Just a few times. We've made it up there. Station 1 has a way to go in, and we have a way to go in. They do driver training because these are tough areas.
So then we shouldn't worry about West then.
No.
West is also no problem. We shouldn't worry about either.
But
West is a problem.
Ambulance doesn't do the
West is an issue when we have big parades or whatever.
Right, but if West is a problem, so is
Hillside. Cars try to come in, they can't. Two cars can't go past it because cars are parked on both sides of the street.
There's been other developments in the village, throughout the village, that have required these developments to forbid parking. These parcels have more property. Some of them are nearly twice the size of Hillside. In any other place, Hillside wouldn't even be considered a road. I mean, I understand it is. I understand it's grandfathered in, but it's not even 18 feet wide. That should resonate.
So then it should only be one way.
You might be right. One way and no parking. There
It's
you go.
always worked. I mean, streets have not gotten any more narrow or less narrow.
No, I
Just
know.
There's more people.
There's more people,
Surrounding-
and
in the
we've started to be
surrounding areas.
asked to examine it. That's
Right.
the new thing.
Right.
And we're being proactive and trying to, that's a new thing. And we're actually investing significant amounts of time as board members. That's a new thing. So all of those things, all those efforts, truth hurts sometimes. And those efforts just sometimes, you unpeel the onion and it starts to make you cry. And it just is what it is. I don't know what to say. But again,
Stop at your road.
Jump in there, Doug.
I have a suggestion. Sure. So to Marie's question, in 2015, I think the zoning laws were changed. Matt changed the zoning laws and reduced the parking requirements. And he tried to make a lot of development in this village. And lowering the parking, which is now causing a huge problem. And it's going to get worse with, like you said, the groundhog, because there's nowhere near enough parking. So they're going to end up parking up by us. But if you allow the parking at the end of Hillside, because there's plenty of room up there, you can make more parking with some item for it. If you make that parking during the day for overflow, only during the day, so if we have to park up there and have somebody work on our houses, at least they can use the driveways. You know what I'm saying? So use that for overflow parking at the end of Hillside, just parking during the day. No parking on Hillside at all, and one side parking on West Street.
Right, but there should be no parking there after 6 or 7. Because
Yeah.
that's just asking for a party up there.
Oh, absolutely.
What if the party is past 6 or 7?
So
Then they have to find somewhere else to park.
It's a sincere question. What if somebody has a party and that's their overflow and it goes past 6 or 7?
I rarely have parties. I don't
You know what I mean? Other people. I'm just trying to cover everything.
Yeah,
Because
not
if
only
we're,
that,
9 o'clock, okay.
if you have
So make-
9 to 10
parking up at the
o'clock.
water
9 to
tower,
10
that's gonna
o'clock.
be an expressway for people like you know,
Yeah.
the folks up there. Cars back and forth all day, cars slamming in and out, people.
Yeah.
They're gonna be
Yeah,
there,
that's-
they're gonna be there if we don't address Hillside.
I agree.
So if you folks would like overflow parking, then we could possibly consider it.
Well, right now, they can park there no matter what. They can park there 24/7.
that's part of this law. This law, there's signage there.
Do they know this?
This law, well, we have the signage that says no parking, right? That your granddaughter or your niece got the ticket.
So right now.
Yeah.
There's the signage there.
That's ridiculous,
We're-
that sign up there.
Well,
Like I said.
It's a legal sign, so we're making-
You have to be off the street.
we're making that
A law.
sign now legal.
So when he got the ticket, it wasn't even legal.
Well, I know, and then you had it swapped,
So where
right?
is,
Didn't you
refund?
talk to Kevin and Kevin got it
It
disappeared?
was never adopted.
Yeah, we
Right?
talked. Yeah, we talked.
So,
The kid couldn't make court
That
because
was
court
already
was in
fixed.
the afternoon and he was working.
Right, well, usually you just mail the parking, usually you mail the
He was afraid
parking.
not to pay it.
So right now, we can't.
Most of the time
So
you
you
mail it.
owe him $50.
Well, that's right. I
So,
think that's what you just said. So you're taking care of the end of Hillside too?
No, Maria's against the overflow.
Well, there's gonna be people for and against, and we're
That's
gonna
the
have to
thing.
deliberate. What the consensus would be that no parking between Hillside and Church, at the very least, is probably the smartest thing to do.
And then
Or not,
you're gonna
I'm
get,
sorry, Church in, West.
and then the line, and then that whole area up to the water tower will get full of parking.
So what's being proposed for Franny Reese?
I don't like that either. Next.
I think you just put a sign up, do not block driveways.
You just put a signs up, so signs that say.
Apparently, the problem is it's in front of Joe's house,
Within
correct?
10 feet of driveways or across from driveways, all right?
You're still.
How you gonna enforce, I mean, that's like basic humanity.
You're gonna enforce 2 hours. You just said we can't swap
There's
tires.
no parking. I'll make-
Well, there's ways to do it.
If there's no parking, and there won't be anybody.
Again,
Let's also
15,
cars
no,
and
14,
just put a
13, 14 months of doing this. This
bicycle
is the first time you've mentioned.
I've mentioned it to you before.
Yeah.
I disagreed on it.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. So,
Yeah, if
I mean, look at these
I mean,
pictures.
at 9:04, I have 9 cars parked on that street in a dead
Yeah,
spot.
and they all, I
This is on a
believe,
Tuesday morning.
I'm sorry, what happened?
Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., I went down the street and there's 9 consecutive cars in a row.
On Hillside?
On Hillside?
yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's just,
And one of
the- I didn't even get the ones that
Yeah,
were
and we
behind
know
me.
2 of them.
Right, so,
Or the trailer that's been parked at a business trailer that's parked at the water tower.
He mows our
And if-
lawns.
Okay, but that's,
Now you're begrudging the guy making
I'm not
money?
begrudging anybody. No, I'm not begrudging anybody. I'm just
He's not
saying,
anybody's way, that's off to the side when he.
well, that's what you say, but it says no parking,
8 cars.
and somebody has a commercial trailer that they're storing on village property.
And it always.
How is that okay?
Before,
Or the no
after
dumping that's
years
being,
when he came to mow the lawns.
why are you so,
It's just that everything changes.
why is that
But if
okay
you're
with
here,
that?
you can't make the left.
Why is that such a ridiculous thing for me to bring
I
up?
saw
okay.
today.
I'm just curious why you think that's ridiculous.
I don't think it's hurting anything, like he's putting his trailer there.
so,
It's not there all the time.
excuse me, Marie.
Well, yeah, it is there all the
Excuse
time.
me, trustee.
It is
Not there
there.
right now, you wanna go look?
Well, because I told them we're passing a law tonight, so it would be better if you didn't park it there. I had that conversation with them this morning.
I'm gonna make a
I was
recommendation.
trying to be nice. All right. We got a lot to do here.
I'm gonna make a recommendation. It seems Hillside needs a little bit more work. And then get a true consensus of what we're gonna do. But I'm gonna suggest that I get a motion to close the public hearing for all the other streets for this law and keep Hillside Avenue's public hearing open until next month.
Rick, I'm sorry.
What's the
Could I-
consensus?
Yeah.
Could I just say, could the trustees or people on the board to go up there, count the driveways and see how much space there is across from the driveways and just look at the issue and see how bad the parking up
Well,
there is?
that's what I said.
Yeah.
That's what I said. We're gonna keep the public hearing for,
Why close the other ones?
because I don't believe there's any contentious items with the other items.
Well, maybe we can go and start, maybe we should start going door to door on those roads like Kevin did and figure it out. Maybe there's people that don't know. Maybe we need to get people here. Maybe the people on West Street don't know.
Yeah, we don't want to,
You know?
we need to figure this out now. We don't want to.
Okay, we'll keep it open till the workshop. Is that fine?
Wendy, First Street.
Is that fine for the board members?
Yes, but I would like to say something. Address to Mrs. Harvey.
Hold on.
So Mrs. Harvey, what we're doing at Franny Reese Park, what we're proposing is parking permits required from 8 p.m., I believe, Charlie, to 8 a.m. And from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., it's open parking. So the permit holder at Franny Reese Park from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. can park in the spot, but then has to move their car in the morning. So we could propose something like that on Hillside and put, overflow parking in there for the residents. And you residents would then, I guess, we could do a lottery or petition you guys if you want a particular marked spot for your cars at night,
For the end of Hillside?
for the end of Hillside.
There's a lot of spots up there. There's a lot of space up there.
I'm not.
By the water tower. By the water
So
tower.
what he's trying, what you're
You talking about by the
what you're
water
trying to
tower?
say is the end of Hillside, the only overnight parking would be by the residents on Hillside.
Correct.
Yeah, so then if you wanted to park up there overnight, you get a permit, and only you can do it, nobody else.
Right.
That's a good
Does that
idea.
make sense?
That's not bad.
How's that, guys?
Good.
So if you wanted to park overnight.
That would be good.
Yep, that way in case you have company.
You have to move by 8 a.m.
Yeah, we don't want your party to not have alcohol so people can't drive home, So at least they could stay the night.
Okay, so,
All right, we'll have a hearing on the,
so can you, do you have bottom line in this? We'll keep the public hearing open till at least the workshop, which is the last Wednesday of the month,
June 29th.
June 29th.
We have a motion to keep the hearing open to
6 o'clock.
March 29th.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Keep it open.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Carried. Okay, next on the agenda. I was asked by the building inspector to have the highway superintendent look at a proposed curb cut on Alexander Lane. Had something to do with mailboxes. The highway superintendent did a thorough job of looking at it and suggested that the village engineer look at it, and that the village engineer, he did look at it. He did talk to the applicant as well, and the engineer, our engineer, made a recommendation that that particular issue be referred to the village planning board, and that he would be involved in it with the applicant, and that the applicant would have to adhere to some of his recommendations. Trustee Sadati was involved in it. Do you have any more comments?
Yeah, so, the applicant, your name was, David.
Blair.
Okay, so we had a meeting, just as John was, the clerk was saying. So we just got I don't know if you got, the email from.
I saw the email.
Todd Atkinson. So, in a nutshell, what we're looking to do is, right now, currently, his mailboxes are in the village right-of-way for that plaza. What he's looking to do, we don't have adequate room to put a parking space there. It's our turnaround for snow plowing and whatnot. you're proposing that we're gonna move the mailboxes onto your property.
Right. Our property is undergoing a refi with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. A number of their issues are accessibility for the disabled. Because of the slope where the current mailboxes are, it doesn't conform to federal guidelines. So we thought, okay, we'll move them onto our property where we have a nice level piece of property.
All the trustees were also attached in their email with a photo of your proposed area.
So, we will absorb all costs with movement of it. The one recommendation was, make sure there's no obstacle near the fire hydrant, which is not an issue because we're going to be far left of it. There's already sidewalks on both sides, so someone who is disabled would have easy access to get to it.
Okay, yeah, so at this time, on the recommendation of our, of Todd Atkinson, our engineer, gonna get in touch with the planning board and get their blessing and whatever they need from you, and prints or whatever drawings they need or whatever they want. And also, he recommended that you reach out to the postmaster and our building inspector to make sure your changes would be adequate if approved by planning.
Okay, so I can reach out to them and.
As long as, the planning board approves it, then it'll come in front of the board, and typically we, if I'm not mistaken, will move in favor of the planning board and the building inspector.
We'll accept their recommendation.
Yeah.
So you have to get through you have to have planning give you their nod, and also our building inspector and the postmaster, and we will then follow suit.
When does the planning board meet?
It's usually the first Thursday, I believe, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
If you call there and get on their agenda, 297-5277, 845-297-5277, ask Mercedes to put you on their agenda. Mercedes.
The secretary of the planning and building department.
Ask her to put you on the agenda for the planning board. And yes, Todd Atkinson is our engineer.
Yep, I met with Todd on that
Yeah.
as well.
Do you have an engineer?
Don't specifically have an engineer. I've had, full surveys redone of the property. We're simply looking to, where the sidewalk is right now, we're looking to duplicate that. So it's 4-foot wide sidewalk right now, and I want to add 4 feet. I would go down a minimum of 4 to 6 inches. We would put wire down, use 4,000-pound concrete.
Because you're going to be complying with ADA requirements, you're going to have an engineer actually draw that plan for presentation to the board so they can follow along, and our engineer as well, to make sure that it does comply with federal law. So you are going to need a professional to submit drawings, and I would suggest that once you do consult with an engineer, that you get in touch with our planning department at that moment in time. He'll know what to do. He doesn't have to do it, he has to do an amendment of the existing site plan. And that one slight area, that one area that you want to do. It's not.
You're saying we need an amendment?
Yeah, just to that one area.
Yeah, because you're amending the original site, so you just need to make an amendment to what's existing.
The chairman of planning has been looped in by Todd.
Okay.
So he does know about your situation and what you're looking to do. So when you touch base, he won't be totally in the dark. Okay.
Chairman's name is
Tom Morris.
What was that?
Tom Morris.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Can we have a motion to refer this issue to the village planning board?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Huber, all in favor?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Carried.
Sit on it.
Carried.
Thank you.
Okay, that's going to the planning board.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Next on the agenda is a presentation by Miss Maureen Lashley. Habitat for Humanity would like to refurbish the basketball court at Vets Field in total for free, and give us a brief update on the 2 new homes going on Tapaji Terrace. And in the meantime, I'm going to send around some work that they have done with other municipal grounds. All right, Maureen.
So hi, everyone. It's been about a year since I've been here. So as John suggested, I'm going to try and update you on what's happening here with Habitat in the Village, and also a request that had been made of us last year for our annual Veterans Day of Service. You may recall that last year we actually, on 9/11 Day of Service, did what we call a Brush with Kindness at Veterans Park, and helped the Recreation Department set up storage in the shed, the garage area, cleaned quite a bit of the property, as well as just in general trying to make it a little bit more accessible for folks and easier to enjoy. And my understanding was that that went very well and that the village was happy with those results. But there was a conversation about the basketball court, and although it's serviceable and usable, it could be just a little bit nicer. And we had just come off of a project in the city of Poughkeepsie at College Hill, where together with a couple of other organizations, we designed the basketball court to be reflective of some things that the kids in the community wanted. And if you take a look at those pictures that we're passing around, some of them are as simple as just putting the zip code for the community on the basketball court. Others are some things that are a little bit more funky with the kids. So we would like to do that. There is obviously no cost to you. And that will be accomplished by our over 1,700 volunteers, not all of whom will show up on the same day. So that's just our gift to the village.
When, in regards to the basketball court area, it would be replacement of pavement? Or
No. Your pavement is actually in pretty good shape. It's not, I mean, we might have some, yeah.
Make a pretty big repair to it.
Yeah, no.
So, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, it's simply coating the court for basketball, that's all.
All right.
Are you gonna paint the lines also, or?
Yeah, did you get a chance to take a peek at it? So all of that we did. We had students from RPI come and help us design it along with Mass Design. There's another service organization in the county called Community Matters 2, who's been worked with us on a couple of projects here in the village, and they'll be part of it as well. So just our way of thanking the servicemen and women in this community for all the work they've done for us. And since you were kind enough to name a park after them, that seemed like an ideal place for us to just add a little bit to what you've already done.
So if the board approves you to go ahead and do that, when would that begin?
Veterans Day. That will be done on Veterans Day.
would
I mean, we'll do some preliminary work, make sure it's all done. That we'll have folks come down to look at the design. We love to talk to the kids, so we may ask some of the teachers if they would allow us to do like a little contest for the kids to give us ideas, that sort of thing.
Is there any
You mean the kids at the park?
The elementary schools.
Okay.
Is there any grant work or anything that's involved in this, or just volunteers painting?
So volunteers.
Just volunteers painting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, that was the first part. So is the board in favor of allowing their organization to refurbish the surface of the basketball court at Vets Field?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Helichek? And all in favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Carried.
And of course, you're all invited to come and join us on that day as well. We'll make sure that you get an official invitation. And we usually serve food. Almost always Habitat and food go together. So, but I'm also really excited to tell you today that the fruition of a very long COVID build is coming together, and that our very first house on Pagy Terrace will be delivered on June 21st. It is a stick-built modular, and it will be together, and the new homeowner, by the grace of God, will be in by the end of July. And the second house will be delivered on July 20th, and that homeowner will be in by the end of August. So we're really excited about it. It's a great opportunity for us. I was a little bit hesitant to talk about adding parking, but thank God, thanks to Adam actually, who insisted that the parking be on site and not on the road. You won't have any more on-road parking.
Well, thank you, Maureen. Thank you for all you do. And as a veteran myself, I appreciate the volunteering and doing that.
It's our absolute pleasure, John. Truly, it is. We are working with our International Habitat right now to actually become an official Veterans Build organization. And when that happens, we'll be looking at building kind of unique veterans communities, some for single veterans who need more of that sort of platoon sense that a community can bring to them, and some other ideas as well. So, and we're always looking for new volunteers, both your hands and your head. So if there's anything that you might want to do to be part of our organization, please don't hesitate to call me. John knows how to get hold of me. He has me on speed dial.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Questions?
Any questions?
Oh, not me.
Okay, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Maureen. Next on the agenda,
Hold on a question.
Hillside, are we settled here?
No.
Why are we not settled?
The public hearing is still open till the end of the last Wednesday in June.
Oh, is it gonna be settled then?
maybe.
Maybe, who knows?
Maybe.
We thought it was settled when we came here.
We all agree.
On what?
No parking. What else is there to do? No parking.
Oh. He might not be for it.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
we also have to put
I
it
don't
into-
think you're,
not for it, Kevin?
Again, if you have company, what are you gonna do with them?
Don't worry about my company.
I mean,
I'm only kidding.
everybody's
I'm
out
just
there.
making a joke. I'm just making.
okay, the hearing is going to be rescheduled to the end of the month.
But the end of the month.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for listening. Oh, James,
all right, next on the agenda is to approve a contract for police with Managed Technology of New York Incorporated. Total yearly cost $22,260. Contract starts July 1st and ends the end of June next year. The village treasurer is out getting quotes from 2 other IT companies and hopefully gets them in before July 1st.
I thought we were gonna use the village hall IT guy. I mean, I think there's,
He's one of the quotes we're seeking, Kevin.
okay. I mean,
There's some concern though there was some concern that we did not consider being not into security, I think.
I do something, I was gonna say something about security.
And perhaps the commissioner can speak to it, but, there's concern that we need to have a certain level of security when dealing with the police department and
Yeah.
their files, their communications, that maybe was overlooked. It certainly was overlooked by me, because I kind of just thought security. But, you want to speak to that, Commissioner?
Well, there's certain things we're mandated to do with security.
Right.
Because we have access to criminal history records, we have access to DMV, and also, we keep sensitive records.
Right.
So I would hope I'd be a part of going over these quotes or whatever they are. We did do this last year, we got 3 quotes, I don't know how often you have to do it, but last year we did get 3 quotes from me. That's within the procurement of the 20.
Well, it depends on the way the contract is written. If they had riders on it for additional years, and
Well, I don't know.
If you're using the same guy.
not the one,
Yeah, we've used it, they've used it for a long time, I think.
Yeah.
And, but last year was the first year it was a contract. Prior to that, it was, billed as they did work. And I guess there was a feeling that going to the contract was gonna make it more manageable. So I'd be interested to see what the cost was in 21 and then 22, to see maybe it's better to just go the pay as we go along. Who knows?
Yeah.
so we will
So, okay.
address this again.
Is this a motion to table to the workshop so we can get a vote?
Yeah.
Well, I think,
Well, it would have to,
If they get 2 more bids?
if we get them, if we insist that we get the bids before then, the contract ends at the end of the month.
Commissioner, can you just come up? I got a couple.
I'm also not comfortable reviewing bids without the commissioner's involvement. So whenever these bids come in, I would personally not be looking to make a decision without the commissioner's blessing.
Yeah, I second that.
On who's gonna be doing.
Well, and that's fine. This afternoon, I actually asked the commissioner to be involved in that, and you had told me to have Andrew do it. So by all means.
I said he
You
was.
made a point on it, so I had it.
I asked you if you would collect the 3 bids, and you told me that you would not, that Andrew would do it, so.
Because, because it was, but yeah, that's.
So absolutely, we want you to be involved. We
Right.
actually wanted, I thought you
But
were.
the conversation prior to today was, there was one other person, which was Roberts Computers, who was given a copy of the contract and asked to repeat the price.
No. It was a
Without the price on it.
And it was, the reason why was so that they could give the same level of service.
Right, but that was as far as that went. There was never anything about a third company coming in.
No, you're right.
Because there are other companies that do police work that should probably be on that list.
I agree.
Are there like any specifications that are specialized that exceed what we have now that you're going to require?
I'm sorry?
Are there any specifications that exceed what we have now that you're going to require from a contractor standpoint? Because it's kind of helpful to.
No, we are looking, no, I don't think there is. There's nothing major.
Okay.
We're looking to put some more access to things in cars, which would, maybe there have to be something done, but there's nothing major.
Is that where they can do a report in the car as opposed to coming in the?
Yeah, running license plates. But I think security's good for that at this point.
Okay. Is there a motion to table the IT contract for the police
I'll make that motion.
until
I'll second that motion.
the workshop?
Yep.
So that's trustee Niznik and trustee Ruffin.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Opposed? Carried. Accept resignation of Police Officer Hensley effective June 6, 2022.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Carried. The next item is going to be discussed again at the end of the month and move this local law to June 13th for approval. Can we have a motion to move this particular local law
I'll
to
make
July
it.
13th?
I'll make it.
Second.
Who was that, Mike?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
All in favor? Carried. So we skip over the next resolution. That'll be in July. Then we have a local law, outdoor dining. You closed your hearing. You're prepared to vote. Let me get to that page.
Clerk Carr, just to make one suggestion, the board has to actually adopt secret before they.
It's coming up. Coming up. So much here. Okay, resolution adopting negative deck with respect to a local law adding Chapter 102 entitled Outdoor Dining. Can I have a motion to declare a negative deck?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee
Sidoti.
Sadati.
By way of background, the negative declaration was provided to the board 10 days ago with the current text of the local law by our village engineer. He recommended a negative declaration based on this being a type 1. He did provide a FEAB form, long form, and his reasons
Page 50.
of the proposed action not being,
Al?
Adam?
Yeah.
you know, his negative declaration reasons are set forth in the secret declaration.
Okay, so, we have that finished now. The neg deck is finished. So we're on page 17, going to we're going to the resolution now.
What, aren't you doing the
Page
vote on-
20, we're gonna get to that.
This is a roll call vote?
We did vote. Everybody voted, right?
For the negative,
Well, we voted, but we didn't roll call.
Is that what you want to do?
Well, it's,
We can do the roll call if you want, it's not necessary, but
I'll just check them off all yays.
right.
Yeah, the neg deck is technically supposed to be adopted first.
The next one
20.
on page 20 is a resolution 15-2022, resolution adopting a local law, adding chapter 102 entitled Outdoor Dining, temporary, to the code of the village of Wappingers Falls. Can I have a motion to accept that resolution?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Have a lot, who was that?
Adam?
Second, Tillershek.
I think it was JT.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
With reference to close third.
Carried.
Mayor votes aye.
Carried. Page, we're moving right along. Page 22. This is to ratify a decision that was made this week for New England Landscapes to provide playground mulch for Vets Field, Canale Park, and Temple Field. Can we have a motion to ratify that approval?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mayor
Appro-
votes aye.
Okay. Approval to hire Ms. Karen McLaughlin to assist the treasurer for 5 hours at a pay rate of $95 per hour. Can we have a motion?
This is what we discussed.
total,
This has got to be the last
a
time.
total of 5 hours.
Just 5 hours.
Do we have a
Just
motion?
5 hours.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mike,
Do you want this on a roll call?
I can do a roll call if you want. Roll call.
Someone may want to vote no.
Trustee Sereno.
Aye.
Trustee Sadati.
Aye.
Trustee Telesak.
Aye.
Trustee Nesnick.
Aye.
Trustee Huber.
Abstain.
Trustee Ruffin.
Abstain. Good.
Trustee Lauricella.
I don't even want to be asked. Aye.
Carried.
I will note, last time,
Correct.
Seconded.
very last time.
Seconded.
So noted, it'll be so noted in the minutes. Monthly updates.
That's, hold on, that's Ruffin,
Tough crowd.
Mike Ruffin, and
Trustee Huber.
Kevin Huber, nay.
They abstained,
That's a nay vote.
right. But they did say abstained, and the minutes will reflect abstention.
The final vote will be 5-2.
Carried. Yes, Mayor. Monthly updates. I put in the minutes a report that I received from Commissioner Ferry. It goes in some detail there. You can all read it. Were there any comments from the police committee with respect to this report?
This is do you have it printed?
It's right there. It's on page 22.
Oh, was this the one? Yeah. No, I do think it was a great abstract, as I commented, and I just, was happy to see that we've been, scrutinizing the use of the tow list, and I liked seeing that it appeared to be equitable for those that were on the list. I just thought that was worth saying.
May I ask a question of the commissioner?
Sure, yes.
Okay, you're noting that there were 11 tow truck requests, but the total you list only adds up to 9.
Oh.
So where are the other two? Some other providers?
It's
You've
got
got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and it says 11.
So it's probably 9 now. I don't know if it's 11, it's probably 9, but I can double check on my phone right now. I have the list.
Yeah, would you please?
It was 11 o'clock when you did it, Charlie.
No reason for suspicious looks. Believe me, it was a simple error.
It was 11 o'clock when you did it.
I know, I have the, I don't think I sent it.
Any other comments for the police portion of that report?
I don't think it matters.
The next one
I'd
is...
like you to keep doing this if you could.
Oh, that's why I put it in there.
Shooting
That way
this.
everybody knows.
Yeah, it just cuts through.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Well, we're gonna just wait or he can, we'll just.
Like taking a couple.
Okay, we'd like to give him an opportunity to clarify Trustee Tilichek's question when the time comes.
Okay, we can wait. We can come back to that.
Cool, thank you.
Trustee Larissella, Finance.
Still seemed, I unfortunately I didn't make any motions today to do bills because I wasn't able to sign anything, so I didn't want to speak to anything that I wasn't, properly informed of. But I did want to mention that we're still having a challenge with some of these invoices being paid very, very tardy. And it's really,
On that note,
we're getting to a point where it's quite concerning. Some of these vendors are looking for, large sums of money, quite overdue. And I'm not quite sure why that is, to be honest with you. I don't know if, on that note, you were gonna say you have some insight into that, Mayor?
well, I would like the board to consider this procedural matter for the payment of the bills, whereas the department heads would submit their vouchers the Thursday before the board meeting, so that they're up in the office and they can be processed and entered into the computer, and then the trustees would have perhaps another day and a half, a day or so better, to sign off on them, so it wouldn't be a rush on the Wednesday of the board meeting.
Mayor, is the problem that the bills aren't getting there in a timely manner, or is the problem that they're not being entered and made available to us? Because I
would say it's a combination.
Okay, because I'm looking at bills that are
There was a couple from February.
they're backdated, so are they there and not being processed, or is it taking our department managers that long to get them there?
Well, without naming a few department heads, there are a few that are always very tardy.
I mean, I'm not talking about a Thursday to a Monday or a Wednesday, I'm talking about months.
We have had some department heads hold back on submitting bills.
Okay. Okay.
But I would like the monthly bills so that in an instance for trustee Lauricella, that he can't be put on the spot on a moment's
Well,
notice.
nobody can.
Uh,
Neither
no,
can they. Their time is just as valuable as mine.
Correct. So that if we do it, this procedure was done years and years ago, that if you were gonna submit bills to be paid at a board meeting, the voucher was submitted to the village Thursday at 4 p.m. before the board meeting.
It doesn't seem unreasonable at all. We should try to push for that.
And this way, on a Friday, and my own personal take on this is that when vouchers come in, there's no saying you gotta hold them to the very end and then try to do 150. You could do 20 a day, 25 a day, and fill them in, and then you don't have this big number at the end. But I would just like to state that for the record, that I think we should go back to this policy.
And the
I don't know
department
what came
manager,
off of it.
the department managers just have to
I don't know what
understand
came off of it.
that
I don't know.
they have to understand that it's more than just not getting it in there, because they might, say, oh, the guy doesn't get paid or whatever, but we all, over the weekend, and we see what happens when vendors don't get paid, so they have to know the importance of, getting it in and not just saying, okay, it'll just not.
Some of it, the
Right.
bills are in, the things are in.
I understand that.
Yeah. Like one of the major ones right now, it was in.
Well,
There's an,
we don't have to wait till the Thursday before the meeting to come in with 15 or 20 vouchers. They can come in
That's-
anytime during the month.
That's correct.
That's what I do. The minute it hits my desk, I look at it. If it's right, I approve it, and I go over and put it in the slot. Some managers hold them till the end of the month, and then you get a big stack like that handed to you.
I
So we
signed
do like
off-
weekly at best?
All the chair people should talk to the department heads and have them bring them in at a time. If it's not, then we'll discuss it. We'll get them in here sooner. But it's not just a department head issue,
Because I'm always available to sign, whether either on the left side or the right side of the voucher. But I signed a voucher today in the water department from April. That's almost 2 months behind.
All right, got it.
Okay, so I'm gonna put in that the last date is the Thursday before the village board meeting. Cutoff is by 4 p.m.
Correct.
Okay,
And likewise with the workshop meeting. It's the Thursday before.
any of the two meetings, okay.
That's correct.
Well, we have to tell our suppliers that too. Because some of them come in on the
Yes,
1st.
yes.
Okay. Highway, trustee Sadati.
All right, so our highway department has been repairing some of the roadways. We obviously didn't have the funding to do full replacements of these roads, but they've since done some work on Pell's Place and Walker, and they've been doing patchwork throughout the village to try to get us by until we can gather some funding. And also, the highway department is looking to move forward on our property on 10 Market Street to start demolition. We just have some logistics to work out. And within 3 weeks or so, our sidewalks projects will be going in full swing. We have a list of some sidewalks that are going to be getting replaced. And that's it.
Fire and Lake, trustee Huber.
Fire, we had 30 calls for the month of May. We had a kitchen fire. The guys did a good job of containing it to one room, the kitchen. And the lake, the biochar socks are in the lake, they're down by Spring Street, off the dock to the right. You'll see red buoys, or not red, but I think they're red, buoys out there. I think there's 6 or 7, I want to say. Maybe 5, but there's a few out there. And they also put, they made a little dam by the drain that feeds into the lake, the drain that goes through Vetsfield. It's in the woods, so they made a makeshift dam to collect some sediment for them biochar stocks there also.
On safety, I have only one issue that's really outstanding, and I'm going to have one of our contractors look at. It's not a lot of money, but it's a very serious concern we have over at the museum, Mizzier Homestead, second floor, where there's a possibility if we don't extend the banister somehow, someone could walk along carrying something and fall down the stairs. I've been working on this now for months. So our scheduled meeting is for on the 14th. I spoke with the contractor yesterday, and I hope to meet with him before our meeting. So once that's fixed, then the rest of it's cosmetic. As recent as last night, the basement in the police station is periodically flooded because the pipe that goes out to the street, I've had it televised, it goes out to the street, and somewhere around where the traffic light is, it has a little rise, and then it goes down into the sewer. We've had the plumber there 3 times within the last 2 months. He went there again today. He's billed us for 2 of the 3. One of them, he said no charge because he's almost there routinely. What I am asking the board for tonight is approval to, for me to meet with the village engineer there, take a look at the film, and see if he can make a recommendation. I'm told there's boring kinds of things that can be done. I'm told there's sleeving things that can be done. But to go out on Route 9D and dig it up, that, we got to come up with something better than that. Yeah. So if I could have board approval to talk to our engineer and get an evaluation from him, I would appreciate that.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that motion.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye. Mayor votes aye.
Carried. Thank you. Recreation.
Recreation, I've been meeting individually with Recreation Board meetings regarding possible proposals for rules for the parks that was brought up at a recent meeting, and we are in the process of trying to get up to speed with our banners programs honoring veterans going through the village. Concerts will be...
Who is making up the park rules?
I have been meeting with the members of the rec committee to get their input. We're not making any rules, just asking what are the issues they see.
Makes sense.
What's that?
At a recent meeting, it was brought up that we don't have codified rules for the parks, except that they're open from dawn to dusk. And
No, I mean, what about the banner program?
oh yeah, we're going to try and figure out that one.
We need to try to figure that out really soon.
Yes.
Because we got people driving around the village looking for banners.
Absolutely.
That we haven't even ordered yet.
Well, I think it should be noted to them that they haven't been ordered. I mean, let's not give them false hope. When we'll all send them out in one batch, and then it takes.
Well, that's what we do, but I can't keep telling them this month it'll be the end of June, next month tell them it'll be the end of July.
I will come to see you tomorrow, and we'll try and get at least some progress on this.
All right. Thank you. Water Department, Mayor?
Yeah. We had our water meeting. We discussed a couple issues. Well, we discussed a bunch of issues. We also discussed the five property parcel where we have an issue. We're having another special meeting Monday. The water board, and to that extent, we will come up with some kind of solution, hopefully.
Mayor, can I ask you, and maybe this is a good question for council, but for the individual who owes a massive amount of water payments, has Have we begun the process of recovery? Have they a letter gone out like we're supposed to?
Yeah, so I just received the underlying documentation for the two that I was told we want to go after, which I have already drafted the letter, the demand letter.
So it did not go out?
It did not go out yet.
When do what's the timeline on that?
Probably, end of the week.
End of the week.
We're at the end of the week.
We're at
They can
Wednesday.
set the order up.
It's been 7 years.
Yeah.
I know. I wasn't here 7 years
On the
ago.
one, it's been 7 years.
We're trying to tighten those things
Yeah,
up.
I know.
$8,000, $7,800.
For the one owner though, I need to verify that he still
Oh,
owns the
that's
property.
still
Yeah.
in dispute
It's
or
still,
unclear?
unclear, so I want to send it to somebody who doesn't own.
Yeah.
We'll verify that, and then the other one is $818.
Looks like this is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question about that. How was that allowed to go to that kind of money?
Well, it appears the house is in the town of Wappinger. So no, I'm just saying.
That's a good one, but yours is too, right?
And so that's an outside user. Okay. And so normally when you have an overdue bill, it gets re-levied to your taxes. But because it's an outside user, we don't have that mechanism because we're not the assessing and tax agent for that property. They pay their taxes to the town of Wappinger, okay? And so we can't add that to their tax bill. It's not gonna be a village tax bill. They pay to the town of Wappinger. Now, with that said, there's a mechanism, and we just uncovered this a short time ago, 2-3 months. Okay, yes. We were never told about this by
The previous water
clerk, okay? So, no board could take remedial action. So now, we're addressing that issue. And as the attorney said, they will get a demand letter, and then there's options that we can do. If they don't want to pay.
To the mayor's point, we can, if our own do not pay, we can put a lien against the real property. But because of an outside tenant who has no property within the village, in this particular case, there's a loophole where we actually have to sue the people to get a judgment in order to obtain that lien against that real property.
Can't you ask for cash or money order for the outside users?
We can actually turn off, the water board can actually turn off their service too. We're trying to avoid, yeah.
Well, if you ask for cash or money order and you don't get it, you stop it right there.
In this particular case, the water board is about to do that. It's about to take drastic, measures.
This is a water board action, right?
This is a water board.
Yeah.
So,
I was just checking on the status.
all right, good enough.
That's all
So,
I
I mean,
was
this is the board, this is
Yeah.
a different board here.
All right, personnel, trustee Nesnick.
Right now, we just, we have an advertisement for the temporary position for bank recs. Other than that, nothing for personnel.
I put that in the paper, by the way, with it cut off in 2 weeks, so I don't know.
Get anybody yet?
No.
Oh, yeah.
You have a question?
Okay, you done? Yes.
Adam, you had mentioned, I don't remember, they were talking about Hillside, and you said something about something was grandfathered in.
Well, no, just the size of a road is still I said the roads aren't, that wouldn't be by today's standard considered a road. But obviously, the road is the road. You can't say it's not a road.
But my question is, well, the attorney, I believe last month about the water, when I asked about something being grandfathered in, you say there's no law on anything grandfathered in?
Oh, to his point, my terminology, I guess, was wrong.
Yeah, just because somebody says the word grandfather doesn't mean that they're a lawyer.
I guess I just meant like it's still a road. It'll always be a road, even though it's.
I understand that. I think my thought is going back last month, when I had asked the attorney about the situation with my letter from 22 years ago. You said.
Yeah,
Right, with all due respect, Mr. Wallace didn't refer to it as grandfather.
I just want to clarify that up.
Yeah.
What,
Because I'm trying, I'm
that,
looking
that is,
into it.
that was in the context
looking
of
into
a, that was in the context of a water board meeting, correct?
Yes, yeah.
We're talking about the $8 thing, the water, or $10. Sorry, is that what you're talking about? The water, the out of town. You being in the town, is that what we're talking about now? Okay.
And everyone that's outside of the town is going to be charged, like.
Outside of the village.
Outside the village, everyone's going to be charged outside rates.
Which is the $10. Is that what you mean?
Whatever,
Yeah.
$10,
Whatever the rate is.
$12,
Yeah. Well, no, it's worth.
whatever it is, eventually it'll be higher, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the amount of money is. I just want to know, is everyone going to be charged that amount? Outside rates?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. There's, if you're outside it, you have to pay outside
And
rate.
that's going to take time, right? Because you got to get hold of all these landlords and
Well, no,
things.
I believe most.
They'll just go out with the bills.
Yeah, and I also believe most of the ones that were outside are paying outside rates. It was only, so far it's only been a small group that's been identified and that's been addressed.
Yeah, because I want to know.
Because what would happen is, if really the thing is, I think it's like if this group was allowed to, then all the other ones could say, oh, well then I'm gonna too. I think that's it's not so much,
I mean,
you know.
if someone's new coming into the town and they want to hook up into the village, yes, I agree. You get a letter, a notification, whatever.
But there's people that have been outside of the town that have always paid the higher
Yeah,
rate.
always.
There's only a certain few that lived outside of the town but weren't charged the higher rates.
You were basically blessed with a savings for a period of time.
Yes. 22 years.
So that was a lucky, like, oh, cool, I got 22 years of luck.
Okay, Mayor Sewer Trimuni?
Progress.
Okay, there wasn't anything given to me that needed to be put on executive.
Excuse me, the attorney wants to say something.
Oh, yeah, I guess this would be under new business, but the water board was considering, is considering a water rate hike, and that has to be done by written resolution under our code, and a sewer raising the sewer rates as well. That actually can only be done by action of this particular board. So if the board is going to recommend the sewer rates to match the water rate, that would have to be.
Well, be the same percentage.
The same percentage.
Match the bill.
Right.
Our water bill is going to go up again.
So that would be something that this board would have to recommend for me to draft a resolution to that effect for your consideration.
We talked about the rate going up. It's never gone up yet. It's, to the attorney's point, we have to do a formal resolution to draft it to go to raise it.
Grind your feet.
So the water board will apprise us of what they're thinking, and then we're going to move from there. Is that what
That's correct.
You can go, yeah, you can.
All right, thank you.
Okay. As I started to say, I've not provided with anything for executive session. Do you want to open them to any discussion, Mayor?
No.
John? I sent I asked for an appointment of a full-time police assistant.
That was directed to the committee, who told the mayor they were not aware of it.
Okay, thank you. Good night. I'll send you a report on the tow trucks.
Thank you.
Get the priorities straight.
Thank you, Commissioner. Get your priorities straight.
Motion to adjourn?
Have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Who was that?
That was Mr.
That was Trustee Ruffin.
And who's?
What's the best motion made? You got good moves.
And who's seconding it?
To adjourn.
Oh, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Who's that, Pat Savati?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Night.
Wonder if I can waste my time.
I agree with you about the letter.